The redhead Hex girl watched the producer and her black-haired bandmate stare back at her, looking shocked. I don't know if we can tell her. Thorn looked panicked. Tell me what? Luna questioned. She felt a sense of hurt. Thorn was her best friend. What could Thorn possibly be doing, what she wasn't even comfortable telling Luna about? We're, planning a surprise for the band, Thorn blurted out. We don't want you or Dusk to know about it yet. Thorn's nervous demeanor, and please believe me look in her eyes, told Luna that she wasn't telling the truth. I want the truth, Thorn. What's going on? Luna asked. Do you think that you know who know about these meetings? Thorn whispered to Gus. If they do, they haven't said anything yet, Gus whispered back. Telling Luna would certainly be a bold test to see if they are listening in. You know who meetings? Me listening in? What in the world could be happening? Who are they? You know I can hear you guys, Luna informed. Crap, Thorn whispered back to Gus, which Luna could also hear. Do you need me to get Dusk if she knows tomorrow morning? Or Bridget, Nia, and Sam? Do they know? Why am I being excluded? Luna asked, feeling quite hurt and abstract. She thought about that she and Thorn had told her from everything. From what little Luna could pick up from the cryptic ramblings, this sounded like something big Thorn had been hiding. No, Thorn exclaimed. I guess we have no choice but to tell her. Can we? I suppose you're right, Gus said. If she says something tomorrow morning to everyone, we're toast for sure. This way, we at least have a chance. If I could just have been more organized in my thoughts, when she came up to us, this wouldn't have happened, Thorn lamentated. Luna became even more sadder after Thorn said that. Not only that she was acting like she would have preferred not to tell Luna, but she was also talking to Luna as if she wasn't there. This was all she needed. After 2 days of Dusk being angrily to her, they have finally made up for Thorn to start doing the same. I'm right here, you know. Luna started to tear up a little. Why is everyone being so mean to me lately? Oh no, I'm sorry, Thorn apologized. I didn't mean for any of this to happen. I wish we could have told you sooner. Told me what? Luna pushed. She wished that they just tell her instead of beating on the brush. Thorn then took a big inhale and closed her eyes for a split second. But before she began speaking, she looked like she was generally having trouble forming her words. I don't know how to explain this to someone. Thorn's tone became anxious. This caused Luna to get more worried. What could be more horrible that Luna couldn't even talk about? I could do it, Gus said bravely. Luna wondered what in the world could be going on. It was so mental that the two of them couldn't even tell her. Her mind wandered possibilities of the band going broke or someone tricking them out of the concert money like they've happened in Salem. Perhaps Gus was quitting the record business? You see, Bridget, Nia, and Sam, they are not who they say they are, Gus began. They're witches, Thorn finally blurted. Well, we knew that, Luna said. They're Wiccans. They taught me how to do the ritual to calm down before the concert. They taught it to you to heal your hand, remember? 3 of them are not just ordinary Wiccans. They're evil witches who have been manipulating our card chart to success the whole time, Luna continued. What makes you think that? Luna inquired. Maybe a little over the top praise with us, but they're not so bad. Bridget even threatened me as a number of times, Luna. She told me to convince you to not leave the band at all costs because it would interfere with their plans, Thorn elaborated. She even told me what to say to Dusk and said about how I can't support you if you left the band, or she'd torture me. Thank goodness I didn't have to. Oh, Luna wasn't sure what to make of the torture part. Why would the torture part be of her favorite band? It wouldn't quite make sense. Well, Gus is her father. Just have to talk with her, Gus, and tell her to back off a bit. I'm not her father, Gus admitted. You see, right before I met you guys, Bridget, Nia, and Sam came to my office and tortured me until I agreed to sign you as a band. Wait, Luna didn't know how to process this. She wanted to believe them, but it seemed so outlandish and far-fetched. So you're saying you didn't want to sign us? No, I did want to sign you. You're a great band. They wouldn't have had to torture me to get to sign you, but they had some evil plan revolving around you free, which involves manipulating the charts to make your album go #1, so you become the famous band. I don't know what their plan is, but they have driven to carry out, Gus explained. I haven't had the chance to tell you guys yet, but for tomorrow, they predict the Hexed Girl will go to #1 with 6,708 plays on the radio. Make that what you will. Okay, so, Luna stuttered. She was really having trouble wrapping this around her head. She trusted Thorn and Gus not to lie to her, but at the same time she didn't want to fully process that this was real. She asked the first question what came to my mind. Why did you hide it from me? We didn't want to. Gus has this known since the beginning, and if I only have known it for 4 days, I accidentally caught Bridget in a lie, and that's when she told me that they were witches. She said I could never tell you or Dusk, and that if we did, they could read our thoughts, Luna. She accurately quoted something happened in a dream I had. Thorn shuddered. Wait, can Bridget read our thoughts right now? So 3 of them are about to come out and torture us? Luna panicked. We don't know the extent of their mind-reading abilities, Gus quickly comforted. That's why we've been having a meeting at night. We'll figure that all of them are asleep. They wouldn't be reading our thoughts during this time. However, it's still a big risk, so you need to be very careful. I promise I will, Luna solemnly said. How much of this stuff was your own ventilation then? What parts of the fame wasn't the result of what the witches did? That's when Thorn started to tear up. It's okay, Thorn, Gus responded. All is what happened to you in the past few months as a result of the witch's manipulation. Oh, was all that came from Luna's mouth. She was completely speechless. How do you respond to someone telling you that everything that's happened for months is fake? Look, it took me, or should I say it's taken me a while to process, so you didn't feel like you had to do it immediately. Thorn comforted. It's completely perfectly normal. I still haven't fully processed it, if I'm being honest. I've known this for months, Gus admitted. I feel still like an apology is in order. I'm very sorry for misleading these past few months, but I still didn't have a choice. The witches would have tortured me or possibly killed me. If I didn't know what they said, the entire rise of you being fame off of the lies is something I don't know if I will ever forgive myself for. It's okay, Gus, Luna assured. It wasn't like it was in your control. So what are we going to do to stop these witches? What's the plan? We're actually just going to talk about that, Thorn informed. We know it has something to do with that necklace Dusk was given by Bridget. What would have happened if we just took the necklace? Luna inquired. That is quite a dangerous plan. Gus' voice became more cautious. We have no idea if that necklace has special powers or what they're using it for. How do we know how to defeat them if we don't know their plan? Luna questioned. That's exactly the question we've been grappling with, Thorn responded. What about doing some research about Wicca and witches? Luna inquired. Maybe that amulet might have a book in it somewhere. I've already tried that, Thorn said. That's why I've been reading the book of Wicca my mom gave me, but it doesn't really have any use. Luna does have a good point, Gus said. Perhaps one of us could slip off and go to the library to search some books on Wicca or magic charms. It could provide us a valuable information of the amulet, if that's a part of their plan. When should we do it, though? The library's closed at night, and we're traveling 5 hours to Shinenigata tomorrow, Thorn pointed out. Besides, if one of us was to sneak off during the day, Bridget and Sam would know what we're doing and read our thoughts. They aren't aware that I know, Luna said. Maybe if I got up super early at 6 and slip off to the library for an hour, I could get back without anyone noticing. No one seems to come down to breakfast till 8 anyway. They probably won't suspect anything if they wake up and I'm gone. But if one of you two were gone. That's an excellent idea, Luna. If you're comfortable with it, Gus checked. I fully understand if you're not. I'm comfortable with it. Luna wasn't so sure to believe herself, but she knew how important it was to do this, so they could be all informed about the witch's plans and perhaps figure out a way to stop them. Thank you, Luna, Thorn appreciated. That's very brave of you. Do any of you know where the library is? Luna inquired. It's a mile south from here. You make at least 3 turns. One on East Van Buren Street, one on Michigan Street, and the other at East Randolph Street, Gus informed. You're amazing, Gus. Thank you. Wait, what do I do if I find something? How do I tell you guys? Luna asked. Oh yeah, I guess there's not really a way to, unless we meet again tomorrow night, Thorn realized. Do you want to join the 12 Blocks North Club, Luna? Gus said, a little bit lightheartedness present his voice. Sure, but what is it about? Luna asked. We agreed to meet 12 blocks north from where our hotel is, at least 1 minute before midnight, Gus clarified. Sounds good to me, Luna confirmed. I'm in. Are you sure you're okay with doing this, Luna? Thorn inquired. I know how scary it was for me when I first found out, so I just want to make sure you're doing all right. Luna paused for a moment. She contemplated her words carefully. It is a lot to take in. I just thought you guys were going to say the band is bankrupt or something. I never would have expected you to say nothing we expected in the past 3 months was real, or our biggest fans were actually evil witches. But at least I'm not alone in this. I feel better knowing now we're going to tackle this together somehow. Me too, Thorn smiled. In reality, Luna was so terrified that she didn't even know how to process this. Her mind still didn't want to believe that this was real. As much as she hated it, a part of her was a little happy that this direction that the band had gone wasn't real, because she had really hated the past several days, and touring in general. However, it still made her sad that none of them had this fun stuff before it was real, and according to their album and music video, those memories she thought would cherish forever. And now how ugly the truth had mudded those memories forever be in her mind. Luna was experiencing a very confusing mix of feelings. As much as she hated touring, she was still latching on to the hope that maybe this isn't what was happening. And Thorn and Gus were just mistaken about the extent of Bridget, Nee, and Sam's manipulative abilities. She was supposed to have figured out in the morning, when she saw the number of times their song had been played on the radio, as it would be nearly impossible to accurately predict such an obscure number. If their song had actually been played 16,708 times on the radio this week, she knew it would be a result of witchcraft, and everything Thorn and Gus said that would be confirmed true. Luna slept very fitfully for the rest of the night. She was terrified about the witches would somehow be able to read her thoughts and realize who they were. She tried to take the comfort the fact that Thorn seemed to think that they weren't reading their thoughts during sleeping hours. It was still hard not to worry. It was probably best that she didn't have slept quite well. She couldn't get the alarm set up to go to the library when it opened at 6, as it would alert Dusk that something was going on. Looking at the clock, it was 5:18. Not quite time to leave yet, but she thought she'd just get up anyway. There's no harm in arriving there early. As she was about to sneak out, she was worried about how she was going to do it without Dusk noticing. Thorn had thought about was being very careful with sneaking out without anyone noticing. But it was pretty easy for her to notice Thorn getting out of bed. She supposed that she took advantage of not sleeping in the same bed with Dusk, like she did with Thorn. Luna was very carefully put her coat and shoes on, ensuring that she was silent as a mouse. She quietly opened the door to make sure it didn't squeak or make any sign of noise, as it would wake Dusk up. Taking one last look at the sleeping Dusk, Luna snuck out quietly and closed the door. She quickly busted down the stairs to get to the front entrance of the hotel, and hurried south like Gus had said. She had tried to remember all the different street names that he had, or how did he remember the directions so well? She was pretty sure that he said East Rudolph Street upon reaching the first sign. She saw the street name and it must have been East Randolph Street. Ugh, how was she going to remember all these different street names if she couldn't even remember the first one? The next one was North Michigan Avenue. At least it was pretty sure. Luna gazed around the sights around her as she walked from block to block. The sun was just about beginning to rise from its slumber. Luna's eyes gazed upon the sleepy city, which didn't have a soul anywhere. It was too early for working folk who were still in the hours before getting back into their daily grind. And it wasn't too late for enjoyers of nightlife, who were likely passed out in their beds from a late night partying and drinking. Luna's eyes lit up when she saw North Michigan Avenue. Maybe it wouldn't be so hard to investigate the library, as she thought she would. Only one more turn. What was the name of that last street Gus told her about? Dick Van Dyke Street? Luna hoped that it was at least partially remembered the name of the street, well enough that she would be able to figure out the last real name of the street when she saw it. The redhead-haired Hexed girl walked another few more blocks, and she saw East Van Buren Street. What's that? Yes, this had to be it. It just made more sense than the alternative Luna was thinking or considering. Wait, did Gus say the last turn was left or right? She was pretty sure he had said right, but she wasn't sure. Ugh, why is she so terrible at directions? Luna took right and quickly worried and bag-dragged a drunken-looking man wearing a gray shirt. Hey, little lady. I'm looking for my friend Bus. Have you seen it anywhere? The drunkard slurred. I haven't. Sorry, I'm lost too. I'm looking for the library. Is it this way or the other way? Luna inquired cautiously. If you go left, I think you'll find the Library of Sin. The man cackled. Nah, I'm just joking. It's a normal library, and it's right around that way. Thanks, sir, Luna said, hurrying in the other direction as fast as she could. It was clear that the man was intoxicated right out of his mind. Of course, little lady, just be careful. The word on the street is there's a filthy drunk out there being obnoxious. So just make sure you don't run into him, the drunk said, as he let out an obnoxious burp. Luna was quite admittedly confused, as if the man was referring to himself or another drunk. But she didn't suppose it didn't matter. She quickly found the library, with it continuing to the opposite direction of the drunken man. The library was very majestic looking. It looked like it had multiple floors, but Luna couldn't quite tell just from the outside. The front of the library had 3 huge picture windows spanning nearly the entire length of the brick building. There was a couple of interesting looking structures on the roof that appeared to be made out of glass. Luna stopped looking at the exterior of the library for a moment when an older lady walked up to the entrance of the key. She was wearing a white crotched sweater and had white hair on a mat to match. Oh, hello there, young lady, the older woman greeted. Are you looking for anything particular today? Yes, Luna responded, before realizing that this man was anything like the people in Oak Haven. She probably wouldn't be accepting of Wiccans, so she needed to come up with a good angle to present this. And quickly, I'm looking for a book on a Wicca for a school project. Oh, they're teaching you that in school? The old lady's jaw dropped. Yes. It's a project about religions you would never, ever follow because they're evil. Luna quickly lied. She figured that she looked young enough to be in high school, given that she was only 18. I like that. Kids are always pushing the boundaries, but teaching you how evil it is with scary books, that'll frighten you kids away from Satan religion for good. The old man smiled. I believe we have a few books towards that at the back on the first floor, by the religious section. Thank you, ma'am, Luna politely said. She quickly hurried back towards the back of the first floor, so she wouldn't have to discuss Wicca anymore with that woman. It was clear that her understanding of the religion was based off a fear of Satanism. She certainly wasn't alone, though. Many other people thought the way she did, unfortunately. Luna quickly began to find the religious section. She saw a sea of books on Christianity, bringing Jesus to life, a history of Jesus Christ, how to accept Jesus as your personal savior, and even Jesus, it's Ramona and Beezus. Well, Luna presumed that the last title might have somehow got misplaced from the younger adult section of the library. She figured that finding a book about Wicca here would be in the needle in the haystack. But she had to try. She could feel her back getting more tense by the pressure, as finding the book hasn't been even the hard part. She had to try and read the whole thing and find something that might point to the witch's plan, but in only an hour. It felt like a Herculean effect, but she wasn't willing to give up. After looking through what felt like hundreds of Christianity books, she found a single one on Wicca. Luna's eyes quickly went to the table of contents. Her eyes glanced over at the first chapter titles, Finding Your Inner Balance Charms, from Everyday Household Objects, Healing, and Collective Energy Rituals. There isn't any chapter called Big Bad Mother Flippin' Witches that have the power to kill us all, so she figured that the Collective Energy Rituals was probably her best bet. Luna had to skim over the chapter since she didn't have time to dive too deep, but everything really jumped out to her. There was a lot of sayings that Wiccans are stronger than they used to have their powers together. Another part of the chapter said that Wiccans could increasingly manifest their powers with a lot of concentration and regular practice. There was also a few things about rituals that allow you to secretly get partial glimpse of the conversation happening from afar, but it had been occurring conversation that wouldn't explain why they couldn't read the thoughts, so Luna moved on. She went back to the table of contents, looking for anything on magical amulets, but found nothing. With a sigh, Luna slid the book back in its place on the shelf. Just as she was about to give up, her eye caught on another book on a history of magical charms. She wasn't sure if knowing the history of charms would have anything to do any good. Perhaps she could try to find something about Dusk's amulet. She paged through the book, looking through a brief and irrelevant pictures on red rubies and various jewels, as well as weird-looking gold charms that looked oddly like a cat. Luna's eyes shot wide open as she turned to page 99, when she saw a charm that looked quite similar to the one Dusk wore. There were a few differences between the charm, and on the page, there was one that was on Dusk's necklace. It was such a charm from the book, looking the pointer in more lime green. Dusk's charm looked more like a circular emerald. Luna's eyes feasted upon the juicy information, as her mind devoured every word. According to the book, witches use this charm to raise demons from unimaginable hellscapes. Luna didn't really need to see the chart data for any day to prove Thorn and Gus were right. There was no way Bridget, Nia, and Sam were telling the truth that Dusk's necklace was good luck charm. They must have been intending to use her as a sacrifice to feed to the demons. Just to make it more that Luna wasn't wrong in her assassination, she scanned through the book one more time. She found something else that looked like Dusk's necklace. However, she did find something else that looked almost exactly like the other necklace Dusk found at the Autumn Fest. The medallion was in the shape of rectangular, and it was bright red. Luna quickly read the description for that, and discovered that it seemed to be something about Wiccans believed to follow the interdimensional travel. However, no conclusive evidence had ever been found on the necklace, and its abilities were officially unknown. Luna found it quite odd, as Wiccans were certainly not skeptics when it comes to magic. The fact that their abilities of the medallion were questioned made Luna wonder if the rumors were actually true at all, or simply an old fable. Luna's mind leaned over towards the later, however. The redhead quickly glanced up the clock, and it was nearly 7. She needed to get back to the hotel before anyone noticed that she was gone. It had taken her about 20 minutes to get there, so if she left now, she'd be back at 7:15 before anyone nearly woke up. She hoped. Thankfully, no one had seen Luna come back to the hotel. Instead of just going up to her room, she went down for breakfast, and it made it seem clear that she had just woken up a bit early and gone down before anyone saw her. It was a believable excuse, but still, Luna felt very awkward being around Bridget, Nia, and Sam. She couldn't believe the 3 of them had been manipulating them all this time. She mostly stayed quiet throughout the 5-hour trip to Shinadi. However, thankfully, Luna's generally shy personality showed and allowed her awkwardness around the 3 to slip by as simply Luna being herself. Once again, Gus had guided them down to the oldest restaurants of Shinaidi, Camp Washington Chili, although Luna really hated the concert aspect of touring. But she did enjoy all the fun landmarks and tourist attractions that Gus had brought them up to see. It certainly had been the experience of seeing the world. Luna's mind, it made her feel less that she wanted to be at home, at least in those moments.